Hello, STEM innovators, and welcome to Ready, Set, Sew from Code to Cloth using TurtleStitch. I want to thank the Tennessee STEM Innovation Summit for having us, and I want to appreciate you all for being here to learn about a new tool to use in your classroom. For access to all of the resources, including this presentation, you'll be able to go to the bit.ly link below. It is case sensitive, bit.ly/TurtleStitch, capital TSIN. It's going to take you to a TurtleStitch resources folder where we're going to have access to everything that we talk about within this presentation. I am Andrew Hardy. I'm an innovation coach from Hamilton County Schools. And I also want to introduce my colleague, Emily Hurst.
Hi, I'm Emily Hurst, and I'm also an innovation coach for Hamilton County Schools. We're going to get started today by talking about what is TurtleStitch. So for those of you who haven't played with TurtleStitch before, it is a browser-based platform that uses block-based coding to make a design that can be then exported and put on an embroidery machine. The nice thing about TurtleStitch, other than the fact that it's browser-based, so all you need is the internet, is it's super easy to use. You don't have to have any prior knowledge in programming, and it makes embroidery designs that can go directly to the embroidery machine, and you don't have to pay for it.
So some of you may already be asking why coding, and hopefully this list might entice you to give it a try. Coding is linked to higher rates of college enrollment for our students. It's also linked to higher self-ratings in communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity, all 21st century skills that our students need to be successful. It's important that students start coding early so that they can build confidence in the jobs that they may be taking on in the years to come. It also has a variety of specializations and applications. And the skills that they develop through coding are very transferable, meaning they can acquire literacy and math at the same time. And finally, block coding, which we're going to be going over today, is a really great entry point for beginners, and that does include teachers.
All right, so we know coding is important, but why coding for embroidery? Why embroidery in general? Well, for those of you who don't know, the bottom right-hand corner, we have a picture of something that has been machine embroidered. And hand embroidery is also a cool project, but we're talking about machine embroidery specifically today. And in the top corner, we have a Brother PE550D embroidery machine. Every school that has an embroidery machine in Hamilton County uses a Brother. Though there are other types of machines, Brother is our favorite. So why embroidery? It makes your thinking visible. Clearly, you can see that it basically sews images that have been coded if you're using something like TurtleStitch. It's wearable, which is really fun for students because you're sewing onto the cloth or embroidering onto the cloth. It's cost effective in terms of a digital fabrication machine. An embroidery machine is one of the cheaper options, and the consumables are also fairly cheap. And it makes a really high quality, professional looking piece. All right, I'm going to take some time to show you guys the basics of TurtleStitch. So to get started, you can work without signing up. I would suggest you go ahead and sign up. However, you can't actually log in until you've confirmed your account. So make sure that you take some time to do that. In the meantime, you can just run and it'll take you to the same place it's going to take me when I click run. So when I click run, it's going to take me to the actual coding platform. My first step is going to be to save this and title it. However, if you're not already in your account, you can't do that. So I'm not going to do that right now. To save, you go to this little document and you go to save, and it allows you to title your design. So our next step is to actually look through and get to know the coding platform. So over on this left-hand side, you have what's called the palette. It actually holds all of your coding blocks. This is the scripting pane. It allows you to actually put code over here. Whatever you code has to be on the scripting pane. Over here, you have the stage. That's where you'll see your embroidery design. And you have a little turtle that's actually doing the motion. You can also call that a sprite. Underneath the stage, you have reset view. So since I have zoomed in, if I click reset view, it'll take me back out. I can zoom to fit so that whatever I have embroidered is on the screen. You can do turbo mode, which is faster. And you can see how big your design is. Mine is currently 0.2 of a centimeter. It's very small. Okay, so we're going to get started on our first little project. So I'm going to show you how I like to start all of my projects. Because this code is controlling a machine, it's pretty important that we consider how to make sure that this is safe. So you're going to start in control. I like to usually start with when the green flag is clicked. There are other control blocks, like when the space key is pressed. I like to just do everything with the green flag if I can. You can do that here or over here to get the code to happen. The next thing I like to do is I like to put in a clear block. When you have a clear block, you'll see when I click the clear block, it clears whatever you've already done. This is important because you don't want to embroider over the same spot multiple times. That can mess up a machine. You also don't want to have embroidery way off in the corner because your machine won't know what to do with that necessarily. So this makes sure that everything is clear except for what is happening in this code right here. The next thing I like to do is put pin up to make sure that when I'm making a move at the very beginning, like to go right to the center of the screen, the needle is not dragging through the cloth. Then I'm going to go to motion and I'm going to put in a go to X0, Y0. That's going to move me right to the center of my screen. And now I'm ready to actually code. So I'm going to put in pin down, which is equivalent to needle down. So at this point, that's where my design is actually going to start. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to play with some motion. So I'm going to move over a move 10 steps, which we know is about 0.2 of a centimeter. I'm not actually going to embroider this, so I don't need to worry too much about size. I'm worrying more about the coding here. The next thing I want to do is I want to turn, and this is automatically set at 15 degrees. I'm going to change it to 90, which is important for the actual project we're going to do. So what you'll see is it's going to move 10 steps, and then the turtle is going to turn. Okay, so it hasn't actually done anything going that direction, but the turtle has turned, so we know that it's ready to move up now instead of to the right. All right, so now that I've showed you this code, I want you guys to take some time to turn that code into a square. So I've put the code here for you, and your next step is to figure out what is next to go from this to a square. Once you have completed your square, you can start the video back up and I'll show you how I chose to make a square. So go ahead and pause your video right now and press play when you are ready. All right, I'm about to show you how I chose to make a square. So this is the code that we had before. All it's done at this point is draw that line. What I did to complete my square is I just did that same thing 3 more times. So I had moved 10 steps and turned 90 degrees. I'm going to move, turn, move, turn, move, turn. And what you'll see there is that we have a completed square. But what you'll notice is I said the same steps 4 times. So I'm actually going to show you a shortcut. Another way to do this is to put that move 10 steps and turn 90 degrees inside a repeat block. That repeat block can be found in control. And it allows you to say how many times you want to repeat something. It auto fills with a 10. I just changed that to 4. I just wanted to make it 4 times repeat. I could make it 10 times and it would just go over the same square multiple times. So you'll see it does the exact same thing with the repeat step. It's not so important when you're only doing it 4 times, but say you wanted to do something, 10 or more times, it might make sense to use a repeat block. All right, that's all we're going to do with the square. We're actually going to start a new project now. So to do that, you're going to want to save this project. And then if you click run, it'll take you to a new scripting pane.
Okay, so I'm here to show you your next project. You guys have already made a square, and so we're going to this time try to make a circle. We're going to begin using some of the same tools from the palette that we started with last time. We're going to start with our control block, and I want to make sure I use a when the green flag is clicked button to put into our scripting pane. Just like last time, we're going to make sure we use some of our pin blocks to clear the space so that we aren't embroidering over something that we've already created. And we do want to make sure that our pin or our needle is going up, because that is how to use our equipment safely. Once that's taken care of, we can go to our motion again and set our X and Y axes to 0 each. And we will finally finish with our pin down, just like we started with last time. The difference, and we're going to use some of the same tools, is that we are going to go ahead and begin with our control block. We are going to go ahead and add a repeat block so that we can have efficient code. And we're going to fill that repeat block with two things, a move and a turn. And I'm going to use a counterclockwise turn, just like last time. And again, these are just the default settings. And when I click the flag, I'm going to end up with somewhere along the lines of a half circle. And so using some of the steps that we practiced last time, we do want you to finish this. We want you to finish your circle. This is the code that we'll ask you to start with. As you work on the circle, we really want you to think about the math behind what you know about circles. You can pause this video here and come back when you've either completed it or need some inspiration. Okay, so let's take a look at how we could complete this circle. Again, everybody potentially codes differently to reach the same destination. The way I approached this problem was to think about, I know that circles have a total of 360 degrees. And right now, this circle with it turning 15 times and 15 degrees, and repeating 10 times, I've only got about 150 degrees taken care of here. So I'm actually going to have my circle repeat, or these steps repeat 24 times. 24 times 15 is 360. And so that's one way to finish up a circle. I could also decide to have this repeat 36 times and turn 10 degrees. That's also going to get me a circle of a different size. And so there are a couple different ways you could approach a circle, but you always want to make sure that your final destination here is going to be a total of 360 degrees. So we're going to take you to one last challenge.
All right, our final challenge for you is to make a word. We're not going to start you off with any code this time because I don't think you need it. So as you make your word, go ahead and pause us. When you're ready to see how I made a word, go ahead and press play. Okay, I'm going to show you how I chose to make a word. All right, so I started with the same code that I did last time. When the flag is clicked, clear, pin up, go to X0, Y0, pin down. Then under motion, there is actually a draw text with size 21. So you can do whatever you want. The only thing I did extra here was I made mine into a square. So it's going to draw and then turn, draw and then turn, draw and then turn. So you can make your text say whatever you want. I made mine say hello 4 times. All right, that was our last challenge.
You've practiced with the square, you've practiced with the circle, and you've practiced with the word. And so now we're going to try to bring all of that back to our content focus using either math, science, ELA, or history. And we want you to choose one of these tasks today. We wanted to go ahead and create some project starters just to give you an idea of how you can actually incorporate TurtleStitch into your own classroom, and wanted to give you a more challenging product to put your skills to the test. So pick the challenge that best fits your content area. And those projects consist of a math using TurtleStitch to create a quilt square that includes 2 supplementary angles, 2 complementary angles, 2 vertical angles, and 2 adjacent angles. It must also include an equilateral triangle. All these projects do come from Tennessee state standards at different grade levels. There's a science project. Use TurtleStitch to code and design a quilt square to bring awareness to the beauty and fragility of a specific biome. An ELA focus, where you will be reading Dreams by the poet Langston Hughes. You can identify the tone of the poem and then surround the word with images and quotes from the text that prove the tone you identified. And finally, history, to use TurtleStitch to create a sash that honors Anne Dallas Dudley and her impact in the 19th Amendment. Just like you, I would ask my students, I'd encourage you to pull up any resources or any documents that will best help you approach these standards and content if you do need some extra help. And you can, after you've worked on this project, I'll encourage you to pause the video and work on the project and then come back when you've completed the work or need some additional inspiration from Emily, who will walk you through our finished versions of these projects.
As Andrew said, when you're ready to see our examples, go ahead and press play. So as we told you before, we do have a Google Drive that has all of our resources from today's presentation, including our tone example, sash example, math quilt, and biome quilt examples, and some TurtleStitch cards. And that's what I'm going to show you right now. So when you're in that Google Drive, you have several things that you can look at. You have project examples. These are the TurtleStitch cards, and they're super cool. So we would suggest that you print these out for your students. But what we're showing you right now is actually these project examples. So we have 4 examples here. We have 1 example for each of the projects that we challenged you with. And if you click on the image, it will actually take you to that project in TurtleStitch. So you can not only just see the image, you can actually see the code. So this is my example of the Anne Dallas Dudley sash. So I've got ADD for Anne Dallas Dudley. I made 2 circles, and this is the 19th Amendment. So that is the first of the projects. This is the math quilt square. So when you open that, you'll see it's a lot of code there. I labeled my supplementary, complementary, and vertical angles with different texts, and you can kind of see, I didn't put an equilateral triangle in mine. This is my tone pillow. So I said that the tone of dreams was somber, and I drew the snow because I thought that was an image, and the bird with the broken wing because I thought that was an image that showed how the tone was somber. And then this is actually another teacher from our district's example of the biome quilt. So she did, she based hers on Muir Woods. And so she has this quote, "Mountains are calling and I must go." So that's a beautiful project example. So when you want to look at the code for those, if you just click on those pictures, that will give you that opportunity to look at the code, and then you can play with that code yourself. Another bank of resources that we have created is some videos. We have some TurtleStitch how-to videos and some videos of us walking you through how to use some of our most common machines, embroidery machines from Hamilton County. Like all of our other resources, they can also be found in the Google Drive. Another bank of resources that we have found for you guys is just this list of where to find important controls in TurtleStitch. That's something that has really tripped me up a couple of times, is like, where do I find that checkbox that shows where the X and Y position of the turtle is? Or where do I find where like when the flag is clicked button? So this just gives you some of our most common buttons.
We hope you had a lot of success on your TurtleStitch project today. We want to remind you that we do have a project bank to keep track of projects that were already included in this presentation, and a bank of projects that this group is going to be adding together. At the bit.ly link included below, and also included in the Google Drive, there is a bank of project ideas for you to add your own. It does look like this. It is editable. So as you come up with a project and decide to use it in your classroom, please upload it to our TurtleStitch project ideas Google Drive.
Thank you so much for attending Ready, Set, Sew from Code to Cloth to learn about TurtleStitch and embroidery machines. If you have any questions, concerns, or success stories, we would love to hear about them, either through Twitter. You can email us. You can add to the project bank in our Google Drive. We would love to hear what you are doing with TurtleStitch and embroidery in your classroom. Thanks again. Have a great day.